This is just going to be a vulgar podcast.
This is dirty.
Yeah.
Hi, teacher.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Torre De Babel Podcast. We're now on episode 18.
Yeah.
It's good to have you guys once again. My name is Rocky.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are the co-owners and directors here at Tower of Babel, which is an English institute based in Bolivia, South America. And we use this podcast to be able to have our students listen and be able to, learn and accustom their ear to be able to hear native English speakers speak to each other. So, Lauren, what do you have today for us?
So the topic I was thinking of today was kind of like animals and pets and things like that. The first thing that came to mind for me was pets. So describe to me, when you think of the Bolivian people having pets, what does that mean to you? What does that look like?
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's changed throughout the years. When we first got down here in 2008,
Wow.
I feel like there weren't that many animals. There was a lot more stray dogs, but there's definitely not as many dogs as there were now. And then it kind of got to a point where there was dogs all over the street, and then you started to see cats.
Then they were all stray.
And then now there's not as many dogs out on the street, hardly at all. There's a lot less dogs. There's more cats on the street, oddly enough, but a lot more people have pets now. And so it kind of depends on the time frame, almost as if it's a fad.
It's gone in and out of fashion.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Right now, I think that having a pet is very much in fashion. People have multiple pets. You see pet stores all over selling food. People are obviously doing a good job and taking care. Neutering is becoming more common.
Yeah.
There's less dogs on the street. And so I feel like that's kind of the situation that Bolivia is in currently.
Yeah, one of our students told Mao and I that it's very normal for Bolivians to have more than one pet.
Yeah.
That it's almost expected now that people, and I've noticed when I ask all of my students, a lot of them are yeah, I have 2 cats, or I have 2 cats and a dog. Some have a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But it's super common. And the thing you said about neutering was really interesting to me also, because that didn't used to be super common.
No, specifically with dogs and male dogs. So you have neutering and spaying.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that for a long time. I thought you just said neutered for both.
I just had to remember the word this morning for class, actually.
Yeah. So neutering is with male animals.
Yeah.
Spaying is with female animals. And it originally is a farm term.
Is it really?
Yes. Because no one neutered or spayed animals before the last 100 years. That's a very, very new invention. People didn't do that before. And the reason they started doing that was because they had certain cows and certain cattle and sheep a lot of times, around farms and stuff, that they were okay, we don't want these to reproduce anymore. Then they started doing it with cats, I think, before dogs, because cats repopulate and procreate really fast.
Yeah.
And so then they, I think, started spaying and neutering them. But I feel like spaying animals is a very, very new thing.
Yeah.
Compared to neutering.
I think it's also way less common.
It's because I bet it's more expensive. I don't know. I don't think I've ever taken a female animal to a vet to get it spayed.
I don't think I have either. We always had boy animals when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And when we got Zenura, she already had it. She was already, we also call it fixed, which I think is kind of interesting. In the US, right?
That is.
You're I have to take my dog to get fixed. He's broken. You know?
Do you know why we say that?
I don't know. It's really interesting.
No, I'll have to look it up at some point.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's definitely more common now to spay female animals, but it definitely didn't used to be.
No.
And so is that also common here? Spaying female animals? I think I've only really heard about neutering male animals.
I don't really think so. I feel like here in Bolivia, it's because there's less dogs out on the street, which means that people are just keeping their dogs inside their houses more often. I feel like a lot of times, if I had a male dog and a female dog and I didn't want them to procreate, I would probably just neuter the male dog.
Right, and leave the girl dog alone.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think it's... I hear people say that they do it to both.
Well, we had a funny experience, and sorry, this might be a little bit gross and taboo
It's kind
for
of
some
vulgar.
people. Do you already know what I'm talking about?
The fence.
What fence?
What are you talking about? You didn't say your thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that dogs like had periods.
Oh, me
Until
neither.
very recent.
I didn't know
think
either.
A year ago.
I just found out like a couple months ago.
Well, you knew like I think about a year ago because Star.
Oh, that's right.
And both of us were like, wait, what?
I was like,
that doesn't
that's
make any
not
sense.
for dogs, that's for people.
Yeah, and so literally, when you spay a female dog, that they're having a hysterectomy.
Yeah, which we just talked about this morning in class.
Yeah. That's crazy. I never fully understood what that meant. And a hysterectomy is like full removal of your
uterus.
Is it the whole uterus or is it just the ovaries?
I don't actually know.
You should probably figure that out.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I forgot about Star.
Yeah.
Like, seeing dogs wear
on.
diapers and things like that,
Yeah,
I thought it was just because they would, like, pee.
Mm-hmm.
And when Ali talked to us and she was like, no, Star's on her period. I was like, what do you mean she's on her period? I was like, I didn't. And one of my students mentioned that too. She was like, my dog is on her DS. And I was like, I don't. What? What do you mean?
Yeah.
One, I never grew up with girl animals. My parents always had boy dogs. And your girl animals, like Duchess, was spayed, right?
Yeah, she was spayed.
Yeah.
And so I never knew.
So I guess it probably is pretty common to spay girl animals because, I mean, I'm 21. And I just recently found out that
really
dogs
funny.
can have their period.
Well, isn't it just weird that we can find out, like, that's a basic, like, not a human, but a basic living animal's.
Yeah, like just a fact of life.
Just how they operate naturally, and we are so used to the fixed visual of a dog, especially like so like when you neuter. This is just gonna be a vulgar podcast.
This is dirty.
Yeah, when you neuter a male dog, their testicles shrink because they're no longer producing sperm, and so what?
No, it's funny. I'm thinking about the Sandlot.
Yeah, I have to put like a 18 plus sticker on this whole podcast.
That's
now.
crazy.
No, but obviously that's crazy because if you see a dog with large nuts, you're like, whoa, what is happening? Like, this shouldn't be happening. They should be different.
Right.
But that's just because we're so used to the fixed idea of animals.
Exactly. And so it's so interesting. It makes me think of the Sandlot movie. Do you remember? When the big dog, like, there's a shot where he jumps over the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And as a kid, I was like, whoa, what did I just see?
Yeah.
Right? And then getting here
It's
also.
a really good movie.
It's a good movie. But also getting here, it's like, you rarely see male dogs that are spayed because you can see visually, right? In the US, I can't really remember many times I saw like a male dog that wasn't, did I say spayed? That wasn't neutered. Like I remember very, very few times.
I would say you're almost seen as a bad pet owner if your dogs are not spayed and neutered.
Exactly, and that's what I was gonna get at is like in the US, there's a lot of advertising about like be a responsible pet owner and do this.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew people whose animals like had puppies, but it was normally on purpose. They were like, my cat's having kittens, and then we're spaying her right after, or something like that, and it was normally on purpose to like sell the animals.
Well, I think something interesting around animals is that in the United States, especially in bigger cities, but just in general in the States, there are enforceable and like not just enforceable, but
enforced.
There are laws that are enforced around animals and their safeties, and then also not just their safeties, but what the rights for these animals are. Like, are you allowed to walk a dog without a leash? No. You are not.
But is that the rights of the animal or is that the rights of other people to keep the other people safe? I think that's more the rights of like if I'm walking, I have the right to not get attacked by your dog.
Let's take a look up.
Yeah, check it out. But what
Talk
I was
more about the situation around like what is allowed and what isn't allowed generally.
So it makes me think of like the attitude towards animals because in the US, just like everywhere, obviously you have a lot of animal lovers. There are lots of people who love animals, but stray animals, it's a very different situation from how it is here. And so there's a literal service that's animal control. And it makes me think of like in Tom and Jerry, those are the bad guys, right? And they always come in, they have like their big stuff. But it's animal control. They're a literal organization, and I've seen cars for them. And if there are stray animals that don't belong to anyone, they will take them to animal jail, to the pound.
Yeah.
And so there was a big thing in the US for a long time. I remember when I was younger that was like, even if your dog stays in the house, put a collar on them.
Yeah.
Because if they get out, somehow, they can be taken to the pound. And then at the pound, obviously, they can get adopted out or whatever. But it's strictly enforced. And I remember specifically in like more affluent neighborhoods, it's kind of a thing to like you call about a dog that's running around. People would like call animal control and say like, hey, there's a big dog over here and I don't know who it belongs to, right? Other rules with that are like, obviously you have to clean up your animal's wastes. Like if you get caught, like your dog is doing its business here and you get caught not picking that up, you have to pay money. There's a fine for that.
It's just a littering fine. And so what's crazy about littering fines is depending on the neighborhood, there's different fines for it. If you're in a nice neighborhood, the fine is way higher. Yeah. Whereas if you're in a not so nice, they don't care.
No.
Which is super interesting.
Yeah. Other things I think I remember about like animal laws are, I think you can get in trouble if your dog barks too much. Imagine like you live in an apartment building and your dog barks a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Well, I think that's just a huge difference between Bolivia and the United States is the Karens. And I bet you even Bolivians know this term.
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
They say it, yeah. Uh-huh. And so when you have Karens, which is a wide term just used for anybody who is quick to complain or make a scene,
kind of like I'm the center of the world.
Yeah. And here in Bolivia, that can happen with like traffic,
for sure,
or maybe like your neighbor complains to you about maybe a tree that hasn't been trimmed or something like that.
At our old house, like your mom like sweeping out in front of the house.
Yeah, a sidewalk that hasn't been swept. Oh, we should get into that. But
that'd be a good one.
But the big point of that is, in the U.S., a Karen is usually somebody who is just quick to call the police.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't happen here because the police are reserved for, a lot of times in city, it's transportation or something of actual public danger.
Right, like an actual emergency.
Yeah. Whereas in the United States, they're more public servants, which is what they are registered as. They're servants to the public. And so you can ask them anything, and they are legally obligated to help you. Like, you can be like,
like, what's a good example?
I have questions about the laws and rights of New Jersey, and you live in Nebraska.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I have to legally help you the best I can. Mm-hmm. And so in the United States with Karens, I feel like a lot of times when it comes to animals, you get Karens who are constantly, like, calling the cops on, their dog was barking, or their dog was especially in nicer neighborhoods. Yeah. It's just like, their dog was being walked without a leash. It's like, that is technically punishable.
Technically,
you have to
you
have
can
a
call
leash.
the police, right? Things like that. I always think of like you can call the police in the U.S. for like noise complaints. Like, hey, this party next to me is too loud. I'm calling you the police, which is interesting because they just have such a wide range of jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they go if there's a murder, and they also go if you have your speakers on too loud.
Yeah, noise complaints. Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny about a lot of times noise complaints? Mm-hmm. Obviously, depending on the city, sometimes there's actual mandates where it's like, these are quiet hours, and if you go above certain decibels, then yada, yada, yada. But no one ever has decibel meters, and so what they usually end up doing is they'll give you a fine, expecting you to pay it, but if you go to court over it, they'll be like, do you have proof that I was over 300 decibels? Mm-hmm. Like, no. And then it's done. It's
literally just to, like, make the Karens feel like they have someone to complain to.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, so thinking about, like, did you find some more laws on animals, on like, the rights of them or things?
Yeah, I have some, I just looked it up to get some of the most interesting pet laws, and then you can kind of give me your reactions on this. Uh-huh. So, the first thing that's up here, these are pet rights and laws in the United States, the wild, the new, and the absurd. Legal status, pets are still legally property.
Right.
They are owned by somebody, and if you are the owner, that is your property.
Right.
And so just like if your car explodes in the United States because you put the wrong fuel in it, and you like crash into a telephone pole, you have to pay for that telephone pole because your property damaged it.
Also, if your dog damages something, like, you're personally responsible. Mm-hmm. Interesting. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Renters and their pets. The state financed affordable housing. There's a rent cap for now pets.
Oh, this must be really new.
That's super new.
Because, previously...
1.5% of the monthly rent, or $35. So I'm assuming if you were a landlord, it's whichever one is most. That's actually pertinent to us because we have a house that somebody has a cat in, and we're charging them $100 per cat.
And that's really normal because normally, like when I was looking for apartments before, or like when Addison had her apartment, it's like run of the mill, super normal to pay $50 to $100 per pet.
Yeah.
Per month, depending on what animal, right?
If it's
Cats
a big animal,
are maybe different. If it's a
100.
big animal with hair and things like that, really expensive.
Well, a lot of times people have problems with cats because obviously their pee has a lot of ammonia in it. So,
and they're territorial with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so then sometimes if they're not neutered, they will spray.
Sometimes even if they are.
Yeah, if they get really defensive and stuff like that. I know Slinky had like a week-long period, and my mother beat it out of him.
She did. She was like, "We're either getting rid of this cat, or he's gonna stop this pee thing."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's super interesting. That's brand new.
Yeah. And then obviously there's a bunch of laws and regulations, puppy mills and pet stores. So like places that breed,
right?
And that's a whole nother like.
Oh yeah.
There's a big part in that because you have to have a lot of different licenses, and obviously if you don't, the same thing happens here. I think on Facebook the other day I saw that in Santa Cruz a big puppy mill essentially got just absolutely just ransacked because the police were like, you do not have permits for any of this, and obviously the living conditions were bad and stuff like that.
And they're just like churning them out, just like as a product essentially.
Yeah. This one talks about hot car laws. And
I forgot about this.
That's honestly,
this is a big thing.
Probably important because there was a stint in like the 90s, I think.
Early 2000s too.
Early
like
2000s.
I remember seeing commercials about it.
Yeah, where people were leaving babies in cars
and dogs.
Babies, dogs, and stuff in cars, and then because it's hot, it would just turn into an oven and just kill the whatever animals.
Yeah, whatever creature. Because people like. In the U.S., you go to the grocery store or whatever. Normally, it's the grocery store, I feel like, or, work or something, and you have your dog or your baby with you, and you don't turn on the AC for them or you don't crack the windows or anything, and it's, like, really hot outside, and so it's super dangerous. I remember seeing a bunch of videos when I was a kid. I had a phase where I was really obsessed with it, and it was like, man sees dog trapped in hot car, breaks window, saves dog.
Good for him.
Right?
All right, so here's some more absurd and specific before we continue, just because I think it's probably funny. Illinois has banned taking selfies with bears and monkeys. So in Illinois, if you're in Chicago, you cannot take a selfie with a bear or a monkey. That's a horrible law.
Are they talking about like at the zoo or where?
At the zoo, at a pet store.
In nature?
In nature, at a circus. Where else would you find bears and monkeys?
I mean, we covered a pretty good list of in nature.
But a big situation with that is Chicago. Big city in Illinois, is the biggest city in Illinois. What's their football team, Lauren?
Oh, the Bears.
The Chicago Bears. Oh, the Chicago Bears. Are we going to do the rest of this?
Down,
Chicago Bears. We're going to do the rest of this podcast in a
Chicago accent.
Yeah, so apparently you can't go... This is literally
you can't get out of it.
But have you seen that SNL skit?
Which
one?
Go
Bears.
Oh, the Bears.
Oh, the Bears.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so Illinois has banned taking selfies with bears. That's a horrible thing to do. Their main source of revenue is the Chicago Bears.
But like, is it a real bear?
I'm assuming it's a real bear.
Okay.
I'll continue.
That's interesting. That makes me think of Buffalo. In like Yellowstone National Park.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the city of
Of
Buffalo, Wyoming.
like New York.
All right, we're done.
People
Florida.
take pictures with buffalo a lot and end up dying because they take pictures with them and then they get gored. So I assume this is for some of the same reasons. Or maybe it's to like avoid exploitation or something.
I didn't even know Illinois had a lot of bears.
Monkeys.
Florida's troopers law makes it a third-degree felony, so that's punishable up to like 20 years in prison.
Long time, yeah.
To abandon a pet or leave them chained outside during a hurricane or natural disaster. That's probably good. It's for the best because in Florida there are a lot of stuff, and so if every time something happens you just like forget your dog, that's horrible.
Yeah. Well, and also I remember in South Dakota, I think when I lived there was a lot of the time people called the police because like there was a dog chained up outside in like a blizzard, like snowstorms and things like that.
Yeah.
It was like but people would have differing opinions about it because one thing that I remember is there was a husky outside during a blizzard. And they were like, it's a husky. He's fine. He's okay. But that's important. What's the next one?
Kentucky introduced a bill that will make it a crime to film or photograph inside of a factory farm. So, if you're inside of a puppy mill in Kentucky, you cannot film or take photos. I'm assuming
That seems kind of backwards.
I'm assuming without permission, because there's the right to publicity, to open publicity, where if I'm walking down the street, I can film you. I can film you this close, and if you touch me, I sue the crap out of you because that's illegal. Funny.
That's dumb.
Congress. Oh, what? Prohibiting the VA from experimenting on dogs, cats, and primates.
Were they doing that before?
Apparently.
The VA. So explain what the VA is. Real quick.
I don't know.
It's veterans.
Are you sure?
I
think the VA is what you're thinking of, where it's like the veterans.
This says the VA.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what that is. We're gonna pass on that one.
Someone experimented on animals, I guess.
And then the last one here, a new animal abuse offender list now names adults convicted of animal abuse crimes and bans them from adopting new animals while on the list. Wow.
Oh, that's actually really good.
That's actually really smart because, like, if somebody is a chronic animal abuser,
they can't just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like, they'll just get punished after and then adopt another one. That's
really so
fun.
funny. You got to do a background check to adopt a hamster now.
A hamster is so funny.
But, like, you do. You have
hamster. What are the rules about abusing a hamster? Because hamsters, I think. Have you heard horror stories about hamsters? How much time do we have?
I'm not a nerd, and so I never had a hamster.
I never had a hamster. Everyone I ever knew who had a hamster, that hamster died in a traumatic way.
It's because hamsters are like. I want to say that hamsters are almost like genetically modified, because guinea pigs is what they come from.
There are no wild hamsters? I'm pretty sure there are.
I will bet you that there are no wild hamsters, period, end of story.
In the world?
In the world. There are
like, that there used to be and now they're all domestic? You don't think there are any?
I think that there is no such thing as a wild hamster.
Okay, interesting.
I'll look it up right now.
But you think that has to do with them dying? Because everyone I ever knew growing up...
No, I'm saying they're genetically modified and therefore, like, they're like pugs.
Oh, so they, like, don't live very long.
Yeah, they can't.
But everyone I know who had a hamster, their hamster died from, like jumping in the oven while they were cooking something, or like going in the washing machine, like doing crazy stuff. I never knew someone who had a hamster that like died happily of old age. Are there any wild hamsters? Is this a thing? Wild hamsters do exist, right?
In Europe and Asia. That doesn't count.
Okay. What else did we want to say about pets and things like that? So here we see some animals that are like stray on the street, right? In the US, if you see, I feel like the attitude's different between cats and dogs.
100%. Let's talk about dogs.
If you see a stray dog in the US, what happens?
You can call the pound. The pound is going to take the dog. They're going to try to put that dog up for adoption. If it doesn't get adopted within X amount of time, it'll get put down.
Yeah.
Bam.
Here, what happens when you see a stray dog on the street?
You continue walking.
You say, hello, dog.
Hello,
and it's
dog.
like very normal.
It's because you can't really tell the difference between a stray dog and a non-stray dog for a couple of reasons. Number one, not all like pet dogs who are out on the street have collars.
Exactly. Most of them I feel like don't.
Which therefore makes them look like stray dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. How about being neutered or not? The majority of dogs here are not neutered.
Right.
So
no
that
one
means
really
you can't tell the difference between a stray and
like a pet.
And a pet.
The other thing I feel like is some people don't like formally adopt dogs and consider them their pets, but they'll like maybe like feed them, or they're like a neighborhood dog. You'll see them with clothes on or something like that, which is also funny.
The park dogs, the neighborhood dogs.
You know.
There's dogs that like live in certain areas and everyone's just like, he hangs out. He's from here.
But they don't, like, no one necessarily takes responsibility for that animal.
No, it's a more communal thing.
Yeah.
Because, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Why do people put up with that? Why do you think?
What do you mean put up with it?
Why do people put up with that? Why do people put up with having dogs in parks? Why is there a
I never
park
thought about
dog?
that before. Like I have no idea.
2 reasons.
Protection of some kind?
Exactly.
Okay.
These dogs will get to know the people, the smells, and the patterns. When do people rob places?
At night.
Usually at night, right? So what happens when all of a sudden there's a random person at 3 a.m. when the dog is like, there's never people out here.
Right.
He's going to go over there, and obviously the robber doesn't want to attract attention, so he's going to try to shoo the dog away, and that dog is not going to handle that. He might bark, waking people up. People have the idea of like, no, this person is being like available. And the second thing is they're a deterrent.
Right.
Cochabamba specifically does have rat problems.
Oh.
They have rat problem.
Do they? I've never seen a rat, so thank you, street dogs, I guess.
Yep. And they are natural deterrents for rats. They will kill them.
That's so interesting. So you've eliminated 2 needs for jobs and 2 needs to pay people, like a nighttime guard. In a lot of places, that's not going to be realistic. To pay someone to like be on a rotation. You know, we have those like protective like night guard boxes.
Yeah.
But you don't see them everywhere.
No.
And then also like exterminators. You eliminated 2 jobs by just having dogs do it everywhere. Just by being dogs.
And everyone benefits from it. So everyone kind of lives with the same thing of like, oh, all right, you know, I'll give it food, I'll give it water.
Right. That's so interesting. I never thought about that.
Yep.
So it's like a communal pet. In the US, at least in my experience, you don't see any of that.
No.
Like street dogs, street cats are like constantly on the lam from the law. You know, they're like if they get caught by animal control, they go to jail. They go to animal jail. They go to the pound. And I feel like in the US, attitudes towards these animals are really different. Like attitudes towards pets. Like I could show you the one dog and it's the same dog. If it's a pet, if I tell you it's a pet, people love it. If I tell you it's a stray animal, they'll be like, oh. You know? People have a lot of empathy for them because they're like, oh, I want someone to adopt it and things like that. But here, I feel like people are fine with that animal being a stray because they're like, yeah, it's still being taken care of.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's still being fed. Like Hash Brown, the cat who's over here. She's a stray cat and she lives on our roof. And we feed her and we hang out with her. And it's like, you know, I'd love if she got adopted, but she's hanging out here. She's chilling. Super interesting. Do you have anything else? Anything else you feel like people have ideas about pets, animals, things like that?
No, I feel like we touched a very wide variety of topics. If anybody has any questions about like, okay, what are more differences or what do you think would happen in this situation, feel free to write in or just talk or just put a piece of paper into the box and then we can talk a little bit more about it. But I think we're ready for Lauren's learning segment.
It's time for Lauren's learning segment. So I want to say a couple months ago on one of our earlier podcasts, we looked at minimal pairs. Do you remember what minimal pairs are, Rocky?
Ship and sheep. Words that sound very similar?
Yes, words that can sound similar depending on an accent. And normally it's a vowel sound, sometimes it's a consonant. And it can be confusing, especially when you're trying to learn English and you have a specific accent or you listen to people with different accents. Yeah. So it's really important to kind of try and distinguish between them. One that I hear a lot from our students is mayor versus major. So, we hold that for me. So, the emphasis on these words, they're only one letter different. And the difficulty is this J, a lot of the time, we want to pronounce like silent, like just air, or we want to pronounce this Y like a J, like J. You know, I hear my students say, you know, she's jung, right? When they want to say young. So, the important thing to remember is this Y we pronounce like an A, right? It's very y. So, mayor. The mayor is like your alcalde, right? So that's a very strong y sound. And this one, this J, is such a like throaty, like major.
A big part of those sounds that are, or that sometimes we say are guttural sounds, is that it's a buildup of air and then all at once letting it out. If we were to say R, there's no buildup of air there. It kind of flows. It goes R.
Right. It's based on the shape of your mouth.
Right? But G's, J's, K's, what else?
G, J, K, P.
Yeah, P.
That's a plosive.
These are sounds that where our throat is closing, air is building up behind it, and then all at once we open up our airway to let all that air come out and give us a sound, right? So like, for example, the J there is, I have air right there, J.
Yeah.
And all that air is exploding at one time. G. Right?
K.
Yeah.
Right?
All of those are closing and then opening up the airway.
Exactly. And so it's something that like has a buildup, you know? Yeah. A different letter, for example, like S, right? S. That's easy. And it's all here in your mouth.
Yep.
But these other ones, like J specifically, you have to build it up back here.
If you don't, it's going to go here.
Right? And so that's where we get a lot of like mayor.
Yep.
Right? Or major. So we want to have a big J sound. What's something similar that we have in Spanish? Is there anything similar? I'm really trying to think about it.
Let me think about it while you write down the next one.
So the important thing with this is just remember when we see that Y, it is almost always going to make the AY sound of y. So mayor and major. The next one I wanted to look at was ice versus eyes. Now this one is kind of tricky because they're super similar, but when we look at these, did you think of anything in Spanish with that J sound?
I couldn't.
I can't think of it either. So when we look at this, we have ice and eyes. Now, they sound really similar, right? What I would focus on the most in listening to these is when we look at ice, we have a very strong S sound, right? Would you like some ice? Whereas when we have eyes, it's a slight Z, right? If you hear it, eyes.
Yeah.
She has beautiful eyes.
Yep.
Right? And so ice versus eyes, it's very subtle.
Well, a big part of this as well is intonation.
Yeah.
Which is something that I feel like we don't touch on enough because it'll change pretty much everything about a word. Ice, when we have that S sound, it is an incredibly flat S sound. I'm not going up, I'm not going down. It is staying exactly where it started, right?
Exactly.
It stays consistent the entire time. But eyes tails off
It's
at the
gonna go
end.
down. Eyes.
If I say eyes, then
Sounds
you're
like
gonna
ice.
be like, ice?
Yeah, it sounds like
Are you
ice.
saying ice versus eyes,
Eyes.
right? So the Z and the tail off are very, very important for eyes rather than ice.
Yeah. What this makes me think of is the song Ice, Ice, Baby.
Yeah.
Because you have such a crisp s, like a hiss,
Yeah.
that sound on it. Whereas the eyes, it's almost always that like buzzing Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is hard to master because it's just a perfect amount of pressure on your teeth because your teeth are what's buzzing.
I never thought about how your
Yeah.
teeth are what's buzzing.
Yeah, what else would be buzzing? It's your teeth
Yeah.
vibrating against each other.
So interesting. And it's also something where in Spanish, when we see that Z, it sounds very much like an S.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's important. Are your molars vibrating off of each other? No. It's your very front teeth, which in Bolivia, and in Spanish in general, A, B, C, D, the closest one to that is se.
Se.
Se. But then you start to get into the S sound. But it's not quite an S. It's even when you say zeta, it's
Zeta.
zeta.
Zapatos.
It's not zeta.
No.
Right? And so very important is making sure that your two front teeth, are those called your incisors?
I think these are your incisors.
No, I think these are your incisors.
No, these are your canines.
Oh, then yes, your incisors need to be zzz. That's funny. I use these two.
Interesting. I always tell my students to imagine your phone is vibrating. Zzz,
Yeah.
zzz, zzz,
There's
right?
a tiny bit of tongue involved, but
A
just
little
ever
bit,
so slightly.
just a little, yeah. But it's mostly a teeth thing.
Oh, the reason that your tongue is involved is because you're directing the air.
Right, and your tongue has to be forward. Like if I move my tongue back, we go from zzz,
And
right?
because that
And it
air's-
blocks the air.
Because the air is coming out through this, but when it's in the middle, it brings it all to the front.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, this last one I have is a super common one I hear all the time. We have taught and thought. So I see confusion in this both ways. Some students, when they see this T, they want to say th. We're only going to use that TH sound when we have a TH in our word. So looking at this, I don't know why I gave it to you to take it back. Sorry. When we see this T, our T in English is a lot different from in Spanish. In Spanish, we might say tigre, right? It's plosive, right? With this, we have t, right? It's off the back of your teeth, and it's a lot more t. It's kind of softer, right? It's softer than in Spanish. So we have taught, right? And that T at the end almost gets lost even. I taught yesterday.
Yeah, there's a very slight. It's almost just the shutting of the mouth to end it.
Yeah, and so that's kind of
Taught.
where it cuts off. If you really want to emphasize, you can say taught
Yeah.
to practice it and also remember how it's spelled, but it kind of gets lost. And we have a very strong ah sound here. We never want to say tout, right? Taught. The
Whenever
same thing we
you-
say with audience.
Yeah. Whenever you see two vowels put next to each other in English, the first one always takes the predominant sound. It's never the last.
Yeah.
So if it's a U, you're going to get an A sound. Now, which one of the 5 A sounds is it? We'll have to figure that out later.
Yeah.
Because that's a very complex topic all about working with the consonants around it and stuff like that, the vowels around it.
Right. And
Can't get
English
into that.
pronunciation is a whole mess. It's complicated.
It's a bunch of rules that then
Break.
just are constantly broken.
Yeah, spelling and pronunciation, all of it it's difficult, especially because Spanish is so phonetic.
Yeah.
So when we look at this one is taught, right? Ignore the G, it's not real in here. Taught. This one, thought. So it's a really similar sound. The most important thing we have is this TH. A lot of students struggle with this. What Sharon actually told me to tell them is imagine you have a Spanish accent. Imagine you're saying España, Barcelona, Ibiza, right? And really emphasize it. So you get thought.
Yeah.
Right?
A big part of why Bolivians in particular struggle with that TH sound is because it's very, very maleducado. You are never supposed to show your tongue to another person. If you notice, they always keep their mouth. You guys keep your mouths very, very slim. Your teeth are in front of your tongue at all times. But in the United States, there's nothing that is maleducado. No. You can never be maleducado in the United States. And so I say, if I cannot see your tongue, you are saying it wrong.
That's what I say, and they really don't like it. It makes a lot of students so uncomfortable.
No, because
they say like,
yeah.
And I'm like, like
stick
that
it
thing out. Yeah, because if not, you might get, one thing we hear a lot is you get an F sound,
or
right?
a D.
A D sound, depending, because we have two different TH sounds, right? So this we might hear, oh, I thought it was yesterday, right? We might get that F sound.
Like
whereas in something like,
who are you fighting?
Right? Whereas in something like mother, we might hear mudder with that D sound. So it's really important. It's uncomfortable, but stick your tongue out. Practice it at home if it's uncomfortable. Start really exaggerated is what I tell my students. Start saying thought, and then as you get more comfortable with that, then you can start saying it with your tongue back in your mouth.
I'm uncomfortable with how quickly you can stick your tongue out.
What do you mean?
It was just too quick.
Like a chameleon?
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what.
Okay, that was all I had for minimal pairs. Let's get into any student submissions, any requests, or anything that somebody had. Where are we at?
I didn't have very much storage on my phone when I started.
So you were worried it was
I
good.
keep on checking to
That would be really unfortunate.
Yeah. Go ahead and pick one of these out.
Let's say, what is this? Capitan Lara.
I don't know.
Do you know what that means? If you are Capitan Lara, please explain. We do not know. Should I take another one?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't understand. Okay, let's go.
I have no idea.
I don't know what that
supposed
means.
to mean.
¿Cómo entender las palabras con doble sentido en inglés? Okay, this is a good question. A lot of words have double meanings in English. Like a good example, fire, right? So I could say there's a fire.
Water.
Water. Oh, water's a really good one. Let's use water. Water can be an object, right? It's a liquid. You can use water as a verb. Also, water the plants, right? You can use water as, you can use it in phrasal verbs. You can say water down something to dilute it. It's another way you can use water.
I don't know.
Okay, so there are a couple meanings with that. Or another thing I think of is like hit, right?
Yeah.
Like you can hit something physically, or something can hit you like you realize it. Like, oh, it just hit me, right? I realized something. A lot of that is just going to be looking at your context and trying to find a million different examples for things. One resource I love is Spanish Dictionary, or for Spanish speakers, it's ingles.com. Every time you look up a word, it has like 7 different definitions of what that word could possibly mean.
Yeah, and a lot of it does come down to just context of being able to really understand what a person is talking about and anticipate what they're going to say before they even say it. We do this in whatever your first language is. If it's Spanish, you do it in Spanish when you're speaking to somebody. You already know what they're going to say before they finish it. But then when you're speaking in English, you just add another layer to that where it's like, okay, now I am translating and then thinking about it, which takes a little bit more time. But then that's where we get into our very good tactics of trying to figure out how to gain us, even just if it's a split second, but without making things uncomfortable, right? We don't want to just sit there and stare at somebody for half a second and then answer. No, like that's awkward. But if you're like, oh, that's a great question, let me think about that. Or if they're just like in general talking about like, oh, you know, I was listening to hits today. And you're just like, listening to hits? Oh, right? Because just repeating something back to somebody, listening to hits, that's 3 seconds worth of
thinking.
Oh yeah, I was listening to hits today. Oh, like that pause is just gnarly.
It's like the weatherman pause.
Yeah.
You know?
Context and then figuring out how to buy yourself just a little bit of time.
Yeah. Another thing I would say is I have my higher level students do this. I'll write a sentence on the board or I'll give them a sentence and I go, okay, say this same sentence with different words, right? So I was listening to hits today. Oh, I was listening to really popular music today.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Someone
good
might
exercise.
say, this song hits, right? This song is great. I love this song, is another way of saying that. So finding a similar definition for things and just remembering like, this means you really like it or something like that.
This song's a banger.
This song's a banger. This song kills. This song is
Murders.
slay.
You use a lot of negative words for something.
It's
good.
all violent if you think about it.
Yeah, it's violent. It's a
It
violent
kills,
language.
it hits, it slays, it murders.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. I believe that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for putting in the questions and tuning in. We will see you guys next week. Stay immersed.
Stay immersed.